Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Pumela Lezondi with your technology and social media news, SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It is News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, our X poll is asking you if you think you'd be losing anything if the block button was removed from X, formerly known as Twitter. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this episode. We look at how technology is being discussed at the Brics Summit taking place in Johannesburg. In our conversation, we are in studio today as we discuss issues facing women in the tech space. Brics is a group of big emerging economies that include Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they've been meeting in Johannesburg, and their meeting also invited some of the leaders from the rest of the African continent and also some of the leaders of the global south as well. And part of the discussions that have been taking place at Brics include technology and how countries that are part of this grouping can work together in order to improve technology, its skills and innovation in those countries.
On the technology that 4IR is pushing, there are two major factors there. The first is a conglomeration of existing technologies, and the second is decentralization of the user base. But 4IR hasn't been rapidly adopted in South Africa. So because we haven't done that, we haven't been able to keep up with the increasing rate of competition with the other regions. So one of the discussions that we're having here will be around skills of the future, but also around critical technologies that allow us to be able to improve our efficiency.
Future skills development was a major talking point in this year's Brics Summit. This as Brics countries are snatching the opportunity to deepen the collaborative efforts in the field of technology. The countries also agreed to accelerate technology transfer and transformation among member countries.
We have laid special focus on public service delivery and good governance. By leveraging technology, India has taken a massive leap towards financial inclusion. The maximum benefit of this has reached our women in rural India. Today, with one click, millions of people in India get direct benefit transfers.
The Brics Business Council reiterated the importance of standardizing technology skills, and one way of doing that is by running a Skills of the Future competition that will have young people from all Brics nations participating.
If I can look, for instance, at the skills development area, we are going to be having this big competitive process, which China actually started with, because remember they were hosting Brics before us, and so they came up with the standardization of a number of issues that are being looked at to ensure that when we are looking at skills development, that it is standardized and it's something that everybody can work towards. And when we run this competition annually, and so this year we'll be running that competition here in South Africa, the Future Skills competition. It will be run here in South Africa in September. And when I look at how we did last year, I'm really excited to see on how we'll do this year.
We at Network spoke to project lead at Brics Future Skills, Joanne Brink, back in June, who gave us details on this upcoming competition.
You have got any skills around technology. So we're talking about data science, we're talking about mobile app development, renewable energy, some mobile manufacturing, robotics. Actually, there's a long list of 12 different skill areas. So I want anyone who is interested in applying to go and look on our website, bricsfutureskills.co.za, and there's a write-up there of what all the different skills are that we are going to be competing in across the Brics nation.
In an era where technology's role in shaping economies and societies has never been more prominent, the Brics countries are emerging as a collective force poised to shape the future of technology, even in the face of geopolitical challenges. South Africa hosted the 15th Brics Summit in Johannesburg from the 22nd to the 24th of August.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we do things a little bit differently this week. We go into the studio to have a conversation with women about some of the issues that they're facing in the technology sector. We also talk about a few celebrations as well. Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Pumela Zondi with your technology and social media news. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, our X poll is asking you about the information that is being collected by social media sites, as X is reported to be saying that they'll be collecting biometric. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We find out about what happened at SADC in KwaZulu-Natal, the details on a new honor device, and in our conversation we chat about the internet shutdown in Gabon. SADC took place in KwaZulu-Natal this year, and a big discussion was artificial intelligence and how to actually regulate it.
The Department of Communications says government will ensure that the use of artificial intelligence is regulated. This as the reality of technology development becomes more apparent. The plan is to create a robust AI governance framework to enhance the security, reliability, control and equity of AI technologies.
As we navigate this path, we are mindful of the ethical considerations that come with AI adoption. Ensuring that AI technologies are developed and developed responsibly is a priority for our government. We believe in a future where AI benefits all citizens, regardless of their background or location. Let us collectively strive to build an AI ecosystem that respects human rights, privacy, and dignity.
Telkom CEO Serametal Kubong also spoke to the importance of regulating this space to ensure the safety of personal information and to counter cyber attacks as well as bullying, among other negative conduct.
The ethics of artificial intelligence, and I think it's an ongoing debate. How far do we go with artificial intelligence? Noting that we are exposing ourselves on a daily basis to lots of activities around artificial intelligence. You're carrying a smartphone, we wear smartwatches. You get a new phone, you press agree. Are you sure what you're agreeing to? Where is this information going to? So there's the good of AI, because if you see, for instance, with COVID, the rapid development of vaccines was as a result of AI. The way that AI is being applied in medicine, in agriculture, in improving efficiency.
While talks around regulating this sector continue, one student from the University of Zululand is exploring ways to offer government schools a faster and more reliable software network as a support tool for the Department of Basic Education.
My work is around deploying ICT infrastructure for South African public schools, as we know that most public schools don't have ICT infrastructure, ICT devices, which is a big inhibitor for them to adopt fourth industrial revolution tools. So my work is all around providing an SDN-based ICT infrastructure to enable South African public schools or the Department of Basic Education to test new ICT infrastructure ideas.
Government has begun working with industry players to craft a fair and reasonable regulatory framework.
Honor is one of the new entries to the South African market. They are a Chinese brand that used to be part of Huawei once upon a time, but became standalone. As the world was on lockdown in 2020, Huawei sold off its Honor division and the brand became an independent entity. Their latest device to be released in South Africa is the Honor 90 smartphone, and they boast about its artificial intelligence capabilities.
Right now, with like 200 million pixel cameras, with the number actually sometimes didn't make the difference. But in order to provide better pictures, with Honor 90, we have a bigger sensor. The hardware from the camera side is much better than other brands. I won't say the brand, but much bigger, yes. And at the same time, we implemented a lot of new technologies, like the AI catalog, AI vlog technologies into the phones, and as well as the night mode, all these kind of different features.
Honor says this device is largely targeted at Gen Z and anyone who makes any kind of content. Gen Z is often referred to as AMA 2000 in South Africa.
I think it's definitely a really good step in the right direction for Honor, specifically for Gen Z. Like for example the multi-video feature. You have a picture-in-picture, or you can do using the rear and the selfie camera. So that's for taking your content.
In a phone, I think I look for obviously picture quality, and I look for user-friendly. I think a phone must be very user-friendly, and I must be able to maneuver through the phone without having to, not know where I'm going or what I'm doing.
I'm a fashion creator, man, so this phone comes in very clutch for me, especially at this event right now, because I constantly take a lot of my own pictures. As you can see from what I'm wearing, I'm very deep in the space. I work with SA Fashion Week. I've done also a few car promos, phone promos, so I'm very much deep in the space, if I can put it like that.
I think it's a very disruptive device for the market right now. We need to take into consideration price and quality. So what you're getting for the price point is something of more of a high-end device, as well as it offers video editing software on the phone, so I don't need any additional apps. And things like noise cancelling technology, so when I'm doing voiceovers, I don't need to be lagging a mic or screaming into my phone.
While the smartphone ticks all the right boxes in the sub 15,000 rand division, Honor has entered what is a hugely contested market in South Africa. And South Africans are quite choosy about the devices that they use when creating content.
Our South Africa, the people, they like some new innovative products, and the market size of South Africa is the second market, big market in Middle East and Africa. So this is very important market for us. This is valuable market for Honor, and the Honor set up Honor South Africa to develop our business here. This is what we want to bring our product portfolio to South Africa.
They say before September ends, they would have released a few more devices here, including one that folds.
Not only our product, not only just for the smartphone, we will bring for our wearable product and tablet product, we will bring all innovative product to South Africa.
Honor devices come with a full Android access, something that would have been a glitch if they were still part of Huawei. Throughout the month of August, we've been meeting women who are doing great things in the technology space. Even though August is over, we thought we'd continue just a little bit as women continue to do amazing things in all kinds of fields, especially in technology.
My name is Kumi Deregiwa. I'm a proud African woman, born and raised in Nigeria and migrated to the UK. I work in technology, and I'm currently the General Counsel and Head of Governance, Risk and Compliance at MFS Africa. In my role, I'm responsible for our legal and regulatory function, as well as our risk and compliance teams across the group. And as Group Company Secretary, I manage our governance arrangements across the group. I didn't always know that the technology space was for me. I started off and trained as a lawyer, and I moved from private practice into working in finance. And on the introduction of a friend, I joined fintech and technology, but still in the legal and regulatory space. My experience so far in my role at MFS Africa has been extremely empowering. I was given the opportunity to grow in my role, which is not something you will always find in a traditional sector, say like banking or law, where things are set out in a specific way, or the growth trajectory of anybody's career is spelled out in a specific way. My advice to women who want to enter the technology space, go for it. It's been exciting for me, and I think it will be exciting for you. Regardless of the role that you take up or the position that you occupy, you are part of something that is making a difference. You are part of something that is creating change and solving problems. And I think that's what the technology space and the fintech space offers to those who are a part of it. It's more than just going to work and doing a job. Most times it's being part of a mission and being part of a solution. And I'll give an example of where I work. At MFS Africa, we are a Pan-African payments platform, and we facilitate cross-border payments across Africa. And with the technology that we provide, we are able to enable people to use their mobile wallets to transfer money to any African country. At the moment, we have coverage across about 500 million mobile wallets across the continent. And with that, we see that we're giving people the ability to take control of their finances, particularly those who generally would not have access to traditional banking rails or platforms. But they now have mobile wallets, and they can pay for things, they can buy things, they can receive money. And that was what drew me to technology. And if you find something like that, and yours may be completely different, it might be insurtech or health tech, something that calls to you, that speaks to you, that makes a difference, then take a chance on that, because it's really rewarding.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, Poppy Spear, whose account on TikTok is The Poppy Show, was stuck in Gabon as that country was going through elections, closed borders, and then a coup. She used TikTok to tell about it all. She doesn't really sound like she was worried.
I'm stuck in Gabon. Get me out of here. It's election day in Gabon, and guess what? All the shops and restaurants are closed, and so are the borders. So they shut things down as a precautionary measure because they are afraid that there might be some unrest. But people say that the unrest usually happens when the results are announced.
So, word on the street is that the opposition, Ondo, is the one who has the people's vote.
And yet, every season, without fail, it is Ali who is declared president. That's what causes the unrest. I need to be out of here by then. So, at 4 a.m. tomorrow, I need to be at the bus station, get on a bus to Bitam, which is the border town between Gabon and Cameroon, and I need to cross that border. So, the border is supposed to open tonight at midnight.
Friday. It's now Monday.
Today is day 4 without internet. The government has switched off the internet because they don't want anyone having outbursts online.
This hot guy comes on TV.
Pops, that's a coup d'etat.
Oh boy, do I ever make it to Ghana, or do I at least make it out of here before this visa expires? What's the situation on the ground? Am I safe? How am I surviving this?
Tonight at 6 p.m. in Close Friends, I spill all the tea. Join now for just 70 bucks. What a dramatic ending to the first half of the season. This is the most tumultuous road trip to Ghana, only on The Poppy Show.
Despite the internet shutdown leading up to elections in Gabon, President Ali Bongo used that very same internet to send out an SOS and alert the world that he had been arrested by the military in that country. To talk to us further about the happenings in Gabon is Professor Shepherd Mpofu from the University of South Africa, that is UNISA. Professor Mpofu, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Maybe if you can tell us about what actually happened in Gabon.
What happened was the case of the internet shutdowns, of course, but this came after the government thought or argued that there is likely going to be violence after the election. And of course, we know that most African elections are disputed. And in the case of Gabon, again, it would have been expected that when an incumbent winning elections or an incumbent running elections and running for a third term is likely going to face some challenges. And when the election results sort of got delayed, it was, of course, predictable that people would get impatient, as it has happened in other countries. For instance, in Zimbabwe in 2018, it happened where people ended up being killed by the military. So shutting down the internet was sort of a project to, as the government argues, a project to stop people from encouraging violence or reducing the risk of violence, because the internet is, especially social media, is used in most cases by the ordinary people as a platform for organizing protests, a platform for complaining, a platform for whistleblowing. When things go wrong, people use social media to actually highlight to other citizens that things are going wrong.
Why would the internet be shut leading up to elections?
Most dictatorships, especially in Africa and in the global south, would throttle the internet, would switch off the internet from the people, not because it's going to make people violent, but because it's going to expose them and cause people to react. And in most cases, people know how to react in a violent way to systems that seek to vandalize their futures and their aspirations. So the internet in and of itself cannot necessarily be a problem.
Professor Mpofu, what is the history of internet shutdowns in Gabon?
It's largely to protect the power of the incumbent or the power of the dictatorships to stop people from organizing. We should look at the internet in this particular instance as an organizing platform. Therefore, when it's likely that people are going to protest and organize a huge protest against the incumbent, that might even lead to the incumbent being driven out of power, they are likely going to cut down the internet. So it's sort of cutting down or cutting off people from each other, and therefore they are not communicating and they're not in a position to organize or organize protests, organize uprisings, which are justifiable, by the way, as I've said previously.
What do you make of now former President Ali Bongo using that very same internet that he would take away from the citizens of the country to actually send out a message and alert the world that there'd been a coup and he was now under house arrest and to call for help?
It's quite ironic and quite funny that he uses the internet that he has shut down to make these pronouncements, and it actually helps to highlight the importance of the internet even to dictatorships. And I think for me, really, the best possible option for them is to find ways of infiltrating organizations or movements that are likely to uprise and cutting them off, because in the process you cut yourself off again from asking for help. Imagine if ever there was help coming from him, for him, you know, and there's no internet, how was he going to call out for that help?
The internet was then later restored. Are we likely going to see the situation getting better, at least for communication using the internet in that country?
When the military gets involved in civilian affairs, it's not a walk in the park where roses get handed over to everyone who comes across them. It's actually a dangerous thing for the military to take over civilian power or to take over governance, or for the military to be involved in politics, as the case up north in Zimbabwe. So we can say it's welcome in as far as it drives out a dictatorship, but that's not the ideal situation. It actually spells a danger for the country's constitution, and actually it sets a precedent again, and it actually sets up the country for international condemnation, international cutoff, even though the region or the sub-region is actually known as a fertile ground for military coups. And military coups should not be sort of a welcome thing in any society. But were they okay to remove a dictatorship, I think they should quickly be dissolved. And it's quite strange that the internet is brought back after the intervention of the military. And militaries are actually expected and known to be very oppressive and not friendly to people.
All right, Professor Shepard Mpofu, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Professor Shepard Mpofu there is from the University of South Africa. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. Stay with us. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It is News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Somalia has banned TikTok messaging app Telegram and online betting website 1xBet to limit the spread of indecent content and propaganda. The announcement received backlash from several TikTok users in the Eastern African country who make money from posting videos or promoting their wares on the platform, saying that they oppose this ban.
waxaan TikTok ku jiraa in ka badan 6 sano and 5 sano kamida ayaan waxaan ahay qof caan ah 4 sano iyo bar kamidana waxaan hogaamiyaha dhalinyarada ku jirta TikTokaas runtii TikTok wuxuu faa'iido weyn oo ballaaran u leeyahay dhalinyarada Soomaaliyeed meel walba ay joogaan gaar ahaan dhalinyarada da'adooda lagu qiyaaso 18 jirka ilaa 40 jirka kuwaasoo dhaqaale fara badan ka sameeyo.
Members of insurgent group Al-Shabaab often post their activities on TikTok and Telegram. The decision comes days after Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud said the government plans a military offensive against Al-Shabaab to eliminate the Al-Qaeda-linked group in the next 5 months. And now in the USA. A study published in the journal Nature by researchers from Chang Lab at University of California, San Francisco and the University of California, Berkeley shows that AI can be used to decode signals from the brain and translate them, providing a potential path to communicate for people affected by stroke, paralysis, and other debilitating diseases.
It's almost like a digital vocal track of sorts. It's replacing the function that is lost, and it's bridging the connection from brain to speech using the neural signals corresponding to muscle track movement, vocal track movements.
The researchers said the team wants to continue to improve the accuracies and believes they can make this a clinically viable solution. Meanwhile, they hope to build on the project by shrinking the size of the machine that runs the AI decoding models and by making the connection wireless. And now in Europe. More than a dozen of the world's biggest tech companies face unprecedented legal scrutiny as the European Union's sweeping Digital Service Act imposes new rules on content moderation, user privacy, and transparency. A host of internet giants including Meta's Facebook and Instagram platforms, ByteDance TikTok, Apple's App Store, Elon Musk's X, and a handful of Google services will face new obligations in the EU. These will include preventing harmful content from spreading, banning or limiting certain user targeting practices, and sharing some internal data with regulators and associated researchers. For now, the rules only apply to 19 of the largest online platforms, those with more than 45 million users in the EU. From mid-February, however, they will apply to a variety of online platforms regardless of size.
X is reported to be saying that they'll be collecting biometric. Apparently, this is what they are now asking people to agree to. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you ever worry about the information that you just click on agree when you are signing up to platforms as you sign up to them, and what you are giving away to social media sites. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za. An email from me, Pumela Lezondi, and the rest of the team. Bye-bye.